Hello everyone, how are you? Today we have another video about seasonings, which I always say are a national favorite, right? So let's get to it. And today it's our special seasoning for white meats. For example, for fish, for chicken, for pork, you'll be able to use it for these types of meats, okay? Later I'll bring you other different seasonings for red meats, and there are other seasonings I've already shared here too, like an all-purpose one. But the all-purpose seasoning, I prefer it for making things like rice or beans, you know? We call it all-purpose, but for white meats, this one is extra special because it will also add a special touch, a nice little color to your meats. And everything in here is easy for you to find. And at the end, I'll give you tips on freezing, how much it costs you, and how much you can sell it for. So stay with me until the end, okay? And don't forget that down below in the video description, you'll find the full recipe that you can use. And also, please like and share to help us out on this channel, right everyone? And there are tips throughout this video, so don't miss a single detail. Shall we get started then and go through the step-by-step? Garlic. Mine is already peeled, but you can buy it and peel it yourself. So here I have 500 grams of garlic. For the parsley and chives, you can use about half a bunch, okay? Half a bunch is more than enough. One large onion here, which I'm going to process. I have leek, which can also be celery. One stalk of leek, okay? Or you can use celery. For the red chili peppers, you don't need to chop them finely now because they'll be processed too. I have 2 peppers here, and you don't need to remove the seeds either. It won't be spicy, I promise. 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of black pepper. 3 grams or 1 teaspoon of turmeric to add color. And look at this. This is salt, everyone. Look at the amount, only 100 grams, okay? This helps with preservation. And for the oil, just regular soybean oil, I have 200 milliliters. Let's start now by processing everything. If you don't have a food processor, you can use a blender. It will just come out a bit finer, right, everyone? Because the processor leaves it with a coarser texture. And if you want it even coarser, you can just use the pulse function. So I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic, the onion. Everything goes in here, everyone. See, the leek or celery, okay? Don't forget to add the chili pepper, okay? It won't be spicy. Don't worry, it's just for flavor. The herbs go in here, see? Half a bunch of parsley and chives, right? Be generous with it, okay? You can add the salt now because it's not a lot of salt, okay? If it were a lot, I would add it separately, you know, mix it in later, but not in this case. Now for the pepper. You can swap out the type if you want, but you must include black pepper. And the turmeric, which is for color, okay? Turmeric isn't really a seasoning for flavor, but it adds a nice color. The oil to add some moisture, and we're going to process all of this very well. I think it's a little weak on the turmeric, so I'm going to grab another level spoonful, okay? It can be a tablespoon, that's no problem. And I'm going to add it and process it a bit more. I want a little more color. The food processor leaves it like this, see? Not too pasty. In a blender, it would get very pasty, but that's no problem, okay? I like it this way. And I'm going to go ahead and package it, put it in the containers. You can choose the size of the container. There are small ones like this which hold about 250 milliliters, okay? In grams, it will be a lot more. There are also ones like this. Always remember, everyone, that this seasoning doesn't have a lot of salt. So its shelf life without freezing is quite short, okay? It will last about 15 days. If you're using it at home, you can put it in smaller containers like this. The rest you can keep frozen, and I'll talk about freezing in a moment. Let me go ahead and put it in this little container. And look, be careful not to get the sides dirty. And I'll just put it in here. But if you could only smell the aroma of this, it's wonderful. And the color is perfect too, isn't it? Very little salt. There's a lot more seasoning in here, okay? It has to be nice and full so you can close the lid. And now I'm going to fill this other one, which of course, in a moment I'll weigh for you to see. Because its weight is much greater, right? Can you use a glass jar? Absolutely. It will preserve it much better, okay? But I'm doing it in a way that you can sell your seasonings. And here, look, I'm going to fill it up nicely. And look at that, everyone. Nice and full, right? Look at this. This one is ready. I'm going to put the lid on now. Everyone, this is making me want to eat it. I'm salivating over here. Look at this. And if you want, I like it like this, see? Not too finely processed, you know? But this way, you can season your chicken, your fish, with very little salt. So be very careful. You've already seen the tips I gave, right? So be very careful. Why? Now in the fridge, it'll last about 15 days, which is why it's good to make small containers like this, because the rest you can freeze. Then you can freeze it for up to a year, no problem at all. But if you take it out of the freezer and put it in the fridge, then it's 15 days, because look, there are no preservatives in here. It has very little salt. That's why it's a good idea to add salt, but you have to be careful not to overdo it. Down below in the video description, there's everything you need to know about pricing, okay? The less salt you use, the more expensive the seasoning gets. And you know this because what will, let's say, make your seasoning cheaper is the salt, because it increases the yield, right, everyone? Okay? But you can choose if you want to add more salt. You can. Just be careful when measuring it out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Down below in the video description is everything you need. Like and share. Bye, everyone. See you next time.